We are live. We are ready.
There we go.
Good afternoon, evening, morning, whenever you're watching this. Today is another day in the life of Josh and Bailey. Welcome back to that Josh and Bailey show. Bailey, Interesting week in football, as always. Yep. That's kind of the gist this year. You never really know what's going to happen. Kind of like Forrest Gump said. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. 2024 NFL season, you never know what you're going to get. Biggest takeaway from the week?
Even under pressure, the Vikings still finding a way to get it done. So they're,
Killing it.
Their last 2 weeks with Green Bay and New York, having like rough second halves. They're not putting up the yards that they are in the first. They're not scoring as much, but still finding a way to kind of weather the storm, get things done, ending the Jets game over in London on a pick.
Steph pick.
Yep, Stephon Gilmore picking off Aaron Rodgers. That was his third interception of the game. Minnesota going into this week 5-0 on bye. Yeah, top team in the league right now. So
it's good being the king.
Yes. So speaking of recap, a little bit, not going full into it yet.
Another crazy week.
So as Josh had mentioned on our last podcast, we were kind of switching things up when it came to our picks, when it came to the winner and loser. So this week I went, I believe, 9-4. Josh, I believe, 8-5. So one game.
I hate you.
So I got to pick Josh's outfit today. It is Thursday, so the 49ers are playing the Seahawks, and one of Josh's
favorite teams,
top 15 favorite teams, is the Seattle Seahawks. So he showed up. If you want to go ahead and show the audience what you wore. So he showed up wearing his Seattle jersey for the game tonight. I had a few different ideas on what I wanted him to wear until he showed up in that. Josh, can you please show the audience what jersey, who are you wearing?
I am appalled and I'm sickened in my stomach, but today we have Colin Kaepernick.
Yep. Mr. Kaepernick. So with that, obviously Josh,
I hate the San Francisco 49ers with a passion.
Yes, and they're playing the Seahawks, one of your favorite teams. So I decided that I would also throw on a 49ers jersey and Jerry Rice just to kind of rub it into Josh a little bit more. Yeah, so just wanted to kind of throw that out there, let the people know who you were sporting today.
I forgot about it until you brought it up. I was actually feeling good about myself, but now I'm gonna go cry in the shower. So
yeah, Colin Kaepernick, man, let's go. All right, so before getting into the full recap of Week 5, a couple things I want to touch on. Something that I believe I had mentioned on the pod a few episodes ago was asking the Twins owners, the Pohlads, telling them to sell the team. Today, they actually announced that they are looking at opportunities to sell the team. I'd seen on Twitter, a lot of Twins fans are very happy.
Yes.
For whoever is looking into buying the Twins, make sure that you are willing to
spend all the money.
Spend money after your team wins a playoff series after 20 years instead of cutting payroll. Even
if your team is in the hunt for the division, spend the money, because we've been screwed for as long as I've been alive as far as spending money goes. So to the next owners, I wish you good luck, and I hope that you spend the money, because if you don't, we're gonna hate you even more. I think it's funny though, because the Pohlads, did you know that there was an interview with Aaron Gleeman 2 weeks ago, right? It was about the money situation with the younger Pohlad who was running the show, and he basically bullied him the whole time. He was like, why didn't you send the money? Why didn't you spend the money? Like, you're in contention. Why are you saying this, that you don't want to spend the money, or that it's, it's with a heavy heart that we're not going to be able to do this, but yet here you are, $1 billion, and the fans want it. You're this close.
Yep.
And all he could say was, we're making business decisions, basically, verbatim.
So business decisions as in, I want more money.
Well, you got to think about it like this. Does a winning team produce more money, or does a team with pissed off fans that's probably not going to make the playoffs make more money?
Right. And I mean, I think the Twins this year, all year were in contention up until the last month.
September.
And then things just unraveled. And I mean, you had fans heated, pissed off, missing the playoffs. 3 Central teams making the playoffs, not one of them being the Twins.
3 of them are still playing in the NLD or the ALDS.
Yes. Yep. So a huge missed opportunity to bring in at least one starting caliber free agent. I know they went with Emmanuel Margot. Right? Is that his name? Manny Margot?
No, I stopped watching after they didn't do anything really.
And this is more on Rocco, but in pinch hitting situations, he went 0 for 30, something in the 30s, which is the most pinch hit at bats without recording a hit.
Oh my gosh!
Season. So not just on the poll ads, but coaching as well. But yeah, spending the and not even just not spending money, but cutting payroll from the previous year.
Oh, they're so stupid. I hate billionaires. I hate Elon. You're okay. Trump, you're medium. Who else is a good billionaire?
That's about it.
Yeah, that's about it, I guess. No, Kanye. Well, he was a billionaire, but now he's not. Kanye, you're okay. No, I don't know. It's just it's just hard to watch baseball when this is your ownership. You're thinking to yourself, you're like, man, we look really good. I know none of the players, but man, we look all right. We're in the hunt still. And then you go into a year and then you don't spend any money. And it's dude, what are we doing? Mm-hmm. And then you go into free agency and you don't really grab anyone. And you're like, dude, what are we doing? And then you do the exact same thing the next year. Then you do the exact same thing the next year. I remember the Bomba squad. Right, we were really, really good. Had a lot of stud players. Right. Mm-hmm. After that, you would think, oh, hey, let's get some firepower at the mound, because that's what was holding them back that year.
Yeah.
It was all hits, no pitching. So it's okay, this is great. Wrong. They go in and they just gut the thing. They don't sign anybody back. And then all of a sudden, you're wondering, why aren't you guys in playoff contention? Well, this is why, because they're not spending any freaking money. Yeah. So then you go into 2020, still medium, okay, whatever. Terrible year, right? Biggest flip-flop of all time. Well, then they go into the next 2 years, they're okay. They're about, 500-ish. Then you go into last year, right? Last year, they had the biggest turnaround, I think, from worst to first. I think they had the biggest turnaround that they've had since the 87, 91, one of those two. So then you're thinking to yourself, like you said, oh, wow, we have a division-winning team. We took the Central. We went to the NLDS. We were, maybe a couple games behind Houston, or who was it?
Yeah, it was Houston.
Yeah,
I think we lost to Houston.
And so it's you're this close. If you just go out and get a player, you just this close. And then you can't keep, what was his name? Frick.
What position?
Pitcher. I'm blanking. Not Lopez. The other one. Sonny Gray. You can't keep Sonny Gray. He goes to St. Louis. St. Louis is dog. So they just suck. Nobody likes St. Louis except for Pujols. And so then you just watch the team fall apart before your eyes. You get into August. You get halfway through. Picture this. Ready? Watch this. Watch this. The Twins on August 7th were 3 games back from Cleveland, right? Mm-hmm. 10 days later was when the collapse started. From that point on, they won, I think, 12 games.
It's just
12 and 25.
Yeah.
Just
and dropping
awful.
below Detroit and Kansas City, where Detroit, like we had mentioned before, was...
They're selling the team. They're farming out.
Yeah, they were selling everybody except for Scooble.
Basically.
And they're still playing. So speaking on that,
yes,
MLB playoffs. I haven't paid too much attention.
I did. Huge games tonight, by the way. Huge games tonight.
So like we said, three of the Central teams still playing. Mm-hmm. What is it? Is it Detroit and
Cleveland, and then
Kansas City and New York?
Yankees. Yep. Go Yanks.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, outside of, it's so hard to root for the Yankees. I guess like the only division team that I would be fine with would be Detroit. I do not want to see Cleveland win. I don't. I hate Cleveland.
I hate Cleveland too.
Kansas City is kind of just one of those things where it's like,
I just don't like Detroit though. Wrong. I like Detroit. Lions. I don't like the other Detroit big Tigers. Cats. No, I don't like the Tigers.
So who's still in it on the
AL?
NL?
NL. The Mets just took out the Phillies, which is huge upsets because the Mets, they were a last day entry. So Atlanta and the Mets played a doubleheader, right? If
Arizona.
The Mets, if the Mets won and if the Mets or Braves swept, Arizona gets in with whoever won. Mm-hmm. Well, they split, right? So they split the team. Both of them get in. Well, the Mets take out the Phillies. They actually win their wild card. And then they take out the Phillies, who is the number 2 team. They were one of the top 2 teams right behind the Dodgers. Mm-hmm. Well, they get bounced. So then it's the Mets, and then the Dodgers and the Padres are playing today. Or no, they play tomorrow, Game 5, winner take all.
Wow. That's going to be huge. That's going to be little California huge rivalry.
Yes. No, and then the Yankees are 1 game up on the Royals. And then the
Detroit's up, right? 2-1?
I think they're tied.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they're tied. But either way, both of them play today. So if the Yankees win today, they're in. If whoever, I think they're still tied. If whoever does gets home field back. So if Detroit wins again today, they get the home field advantage because they got 2 more back-to-back in Detroit. Or they got 1 more in Detroit, and then, yeah.
So some exciting MLB games coming up.
I love baseball.
Oh, yeah. See, it's hard. It's hard, like, being a Twins fan. It's like after the Twins, it's like I don't care. But another season coming up, NBA, in their preseason right now, but regular season will be here sooner rather than later. The Timberwolves opening up with LA, the Lakers, which LeBron is my GOAT. I love LeBron, so it's always hard watching my favorite team take on my favorite player. But a cool story. Most of you know that LeBron's son, Bronny, got drafted by the Lakers. Sounds like he will, no matter what, be on that opening night roster. Not sure how that works in terms of if he's just going to be that 13th, 14th, 15th guy.
15th guy.
But, I mean, you would expect that Bronny either starts or he'll be in the game pretty quickly to kind of share that moment with his dad, be the first father-son duo to play together on the same court.
I say just get it over with. Rip the Band-Aid off. Because think about it like this. Nepotism. Do you all know what that word means? Nepotism is when you hire family because they're family. That is what's going on in LA with the Lakers. I'm sorry. It's true. Bronny is not an NBA. He's not ready for it. He is not NBA ready.
Should have stayed in college.
Should have gone to friggin' somewhere else. SC. Okay, whatever. Should have gone somewhere else. LeBron, once Bronny gets out there with LeBron, they'll play the game. They'll play maybe a couple of weeks like that, and then they're going to sit him, and then he's never going to see the court again because they're going to realize this kid doesn't have it. His dad, the only reason that we actually drafted this kid, and then at the end of the season, LeBron's going to retire. It's the second greatest basketball player of all time. And
he's already the GOAT.
Everybody's going to see that Bronny's a fraud, and then he's not going to play, and then 2 years later, Bryson's going to get drafted, and he's going to be a star, and then everybody's going to be happy again, and then he's going to go to the Golden State Warriors, and they're going to play the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals, and then they're going to win, and then they're going to be back on top, and Steve Kerr will have his 11th championship in that order.
Wow, that's quite the prediction, and it's like very detailed. I'm just happy to because I love LeBron. That he gets to share the court with his son. Cool moment. Taking on, like I said, Minnesota. Minnesota, like we talked about after the huge trade with Cat, kind of not like really retooling or like not a rebuild, kind of more of a retool with the contract situation with Cat. Probably expect a Nas Reed extension to get done. Probably Nickeil Alexander-Walker deal to get done. You'd expect sooner rather than later. But it seems like Minnesota, I mean, they're doing the right things. I think, it took me a minute after the Cat tricks. Like, I love Cat. But they're doing the right things to stay in contention, not make their players unhappy.
Yes.
Keeping like the core guys. But what's we touched on it a little bit before, but like what are like your expectations outside of just like record wise for the Timberwolves? Like,
all right. In a serious note, when I talk Wolves, I do talk serious. So I think yes, they did the long haul idea. I'm gonna turn this down because it looks hot. They did the long haul idea. They're thinking, Ant is our star. He's the one that we're building around, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Well, he plays really well with Jaden. So those two are going to be a pair for a long time. Nickeil Alexander is definitely that guy who kind of can get you going at any point.
He's a
in the
glue
game.
guy.
Yeah, he's that guy, consistent guy. So as long as he's healthy, they'll be fine. Expectations. It's going to be tough to repeat what you did last year just because you were so hot for so long. Like, you really should have been the 1 seed, but you couldn't close in Denver, and then you dropped easy games at the end of the season against the Suns. With all that being said, you got to look at the rest of the West, right? Everybody plays everybody. So Denver's still going to be a threat. Dallas is especially a threat now. Ja Money's back, so Memphis is a threat again. The Warriors are actually not a threat as much right now, and I don't really see the Suns being a threat either anymore.
Yeah, I still think after sweeping them, it's like it was such a weird thing. I think they swept us regular season, and then we turn around and sweep them playoffs. It's just one of those things where it's like you bring in, 2 stars to pair with Devin Booker, but it's also like all 3 of those guys in Booker, Durant, and Beal that like kind of demand the ball.
Yes.
Right. It's 3 guys that like have been used to playing isolation basketball, scoring 25 plus points a game. You're really not building, a team that works well together in terms of, I'm not saying like they don't like each other. What I'm saying is just like pure basketball.
The play style.
The play style.
The play style is not the same. Yeah, I get what you're saying. No, I think you're onto something. I think that's part of why Cat had to go too. Because no matter what, there were times last year where it's Cat ball, where he wants the ball, where he wants to shoot, and it's like, yes, we want you to be that big man 3-point shooter, but you also have to be able to, reel it in when we need you to, read the room. Basically.
When you're shooting, 2 for 26 in a playoff series, it's like
get big,
right? Get big, or just defer. He's a good passing big man. Like, he's not like a Jokic level guy, but like he can pass the ball, and if it's just not going, and like there are going to be times where it's not going to go for you. Some nights just aren't going to go, maybe even a series.
Yeah.
Like, you have to learn to defer. And I think what Cat's problem was, like, even though he would never say it, is that like, but he thought like the Wolves built around me for the longest time. Like, I should still be the go-to, where Anthony Edwards has proven, not even just last year, but I think even like a couple seasons ago, that like he was going to be that guy, became that guy.
Yes.
And when you have Cat, like you said, playing cat ball and taking the ball out of Ant's hands, who like he's a playmaker too. Like he runs that offense. Yeah. And so taking it out of his hands, that Dallas series was rough. And it was kind of rough for everybody, especially I would say even like McDaniels had a really rough series. But
Rudy.
Yes.
Rudy got cooked.
Yeah. Yes. That can't happen. Even though he won DPOY.
Dude, Joker ate him. Jamal ate him.
Yeah.
Aaron ate him. PJ ate him. Dude, I don't know. When I think back at Dallas, I think the two big mistakes that I go to right away, and don't call out Kyrie. Don't do that. That was stupid.
Yeah.
Let Jaden eat him up. No, just don't. And then after that, I would say a couple of bad fouls, a couple of bad shots. That series starts off 3-0 Wolves way. You know, Nas hits that in game 2. It's going this way. Someone gets on Luka game 1. We get that game. So we're going into Dallas 2-0.
Cat fouling as much as he did in the playoffs.
Don't do that again. No,
Have you seen, like, before? Sorry to cut you off
good.
here. So obviously preseason, he's playing with the Knicks. Have you seen, like, he's getting calls finally?
Really?
Yeah.
It's because he's in New York.
He had like 20 something free. Yeah, exactly. And like people know that like big market calls are a thing. And like for us watching Cat, like he deserved a lot of foul calls that he never got. And you said like for us, we looked at him like he was kind of always like whining, but it's like it was
Some
for
of
a
those
reason.
were real bad. Yeah.
Right. And like in a preseason game, he had like 20 something free throw attempts.
Good.
So
Good
like,
for him.
yeah. So I mean, New York, what they did to get Cat, pair with Brunson, pair with Bridges.
Yep.
I mean, they're looking like they could. I mean, they made a run last year.
They did.
So they could possibly be a team to like look at as title contenders.
It's gonna be.
That East. I mean, if the West is so strong that like the East, obviously you still have to compete because like even a bottom team can come out of nowhere in the playoffs and get hot. But like New York, I think does have a real shot at contending for a title. Yeah. Obviously, beating a Western team is so hard. Whoever comes out of the West is probably going to be the favorite.
They're battle tested.
Yeah.
But to your point, though, Boston had an easy path to the finals.
They
and
still
just
won.
Walked Dallas. Yeah. Do I think Dallas was that good of a team? No. I think they played their best ball against the Wolves.
Yeah.
But like you said, the West, everybody's a baller. Everybody's a stud. That's just packed top. Like, let's see, Wolves, Dallas, Denver,
OKC.
Memphis, OKC. Oh, I didn't even think of OKC.
Yeah, OKC. That's
it. Shea. Oh my gosh. Oh boy. Okay, so yeah,
Well, you see like a San
all the way
Antonio.
back to the beginning. Wolves take a step back. They're probably in the 40 wins just because everybody else is gonna be in about a 45 to 50 win range.
Well, the predictions are like I think. I don't know if it was ESPN or if it was like the NBA.com like power rankings, but I think like the top like prediction was only like 49 or 50 wins for a Western team, just because everybody is so good that they're just gonna just bully the hell out of each other all season long.
Which it's gonna be a problem when you get to the finals, because it's like, even if it is Denver or Dallas or the Wolves, even if it is, the problem with it is gonna be the East, whoever makes it out, either New York or Boston, Milwaukee. Whoever makes it out of New York or whoever makes it out of the East, they're going to be fresher just because they don't play that type of bully ball. It's not black and blue like it is out in the West. So that's something to think about. I mean, to your point, or bringing it back to the West, it's just a lot of scoring, a lot of scores.
Yeah. It's like it's such fast-paced basketball too. Well, and like you have all like your main superstars outside of a few in the East. Like you have so many superstars in the West, and it's just kind of a shoot at will. Yes. Like run the transition offense, where like the East, I feel like it's more like get the ball past half court, set up the offense, take 20 seconds off the 24. Yeah. Where the West, it's like you see a lot of teams not even getting halfway through their shot clock and they're firing up threes.
What do you think of San Antonio?
I just kind of mentioned them. I think like San Antonio, I mean, CP's out there. I think that's going to be such a huge veteran like presence for that team. Do I see them being a top level team this year? No. I mean, I could easily see them like squeaking into like an 8 or winning a play-in game to get to like a 7 or 8.
Gosh, dude, The West is just so stacked.
Well, think about like when Wembanyama is like a fifth year guy and just taking over.
Oh my god, dude! Imagine when he's a second year guy.
Oh,
Imagine
even
when
this
he's gonna
year.
be like this year. Oh my gosh.
He's probably. I would guess he's the DPOY candidate.
Oh, he's got to be. He's probably top 7 MVPs too.
Right. Yeah, he's gonna have a monster year. It's just about like hitting in the draft. Obviously, they weren't good this past season, so it's like hitting in the draft, building around Wembanyama.
Sleeper pick out of the East. Can you guess? Who do you think I'm gonna say?
Chicago.
Chicago. I love Chicago.
Just good. I was just thinking because Lonzo Ball.
He's not gonna play.
Miami.
You're getting closer.
Oh, Orlando. Yeah.
I like him.
Well, that's like another. That's like another. Kind of not as much in terms of like the draft capital, but it's almost like another OKC situation. And like we talked about with the NFL teams, building around like young guys, like Green Bay, building around young guys growing up together. Orlando's doing that, and they didn't take long to build that camaraderie. Like they made the playoffs,
I think, yeah.
right?
Well, yeah, they made. Well, that's the other part of it. They won big games to get into the playoffs, and then they won big games in the playoffs.
Yeah. So I mean, what Paolo was doing in his second, third year. I don't remember. Getting old. So
I think Jalen was a year before him.
Yeah,
Jalen's in his third year.
They're a young, fun team too. You know, you have Franz Wagner still there, Suggsy still there. So Cole Anthony.
Yep.
So yeah, it's such a young, fun team that like developed at such a quick pace, even though like they really didn't have to.
No,
like,
they just did.
They just did, and it worked, and it's working out very well. I do like that Orlando pick there.
Sleepers.
Getting back to some NFL, we have some a little bit of recap from last week. So like I said, I think I went 9-4. You went 8-5. Mitchell went 7-6 with his predictions.
Mitchell, you gotta get those stats up, my boy.
So Thursday night, Tampa at Atlanta. Who won that game?
Atlanta 36-30 overtime.
Yes. So Kirk, 509 yards. Passing, an absolute monster game. 4
for 1, 4 tutties, one pick.
Drake London looking amazing,
over 100 yards.
Yeah. Kyle Pitts kind of bouncing back. I think I kind of touched on it last podcast. I took him like off the bench because he had already played.
Made it back.
And you had the Jets against Minnesota over in the UK. Like we mentioned, Minnesota
nail biters.
Yeah. Like it's almost like the Jets didn't play like that bad of a game, but it was 90% their defense. I kept winning it.
You got to think of like Flores' defense right now, like
playing that two shell.
Oh, dude, I could go on for days about cover 2, but no. Like they're so aggressive. Like that was the reason. Like I think I wrote it down. Rodgers went 29 for 54. They're throwing the ball 54 times. Think about that. That means you're playing behind the sticks a lot. You're, those second and longs, those first, you're not getting a whole lot on first down, second, third and longs. That's the Flores recipe. And, the big names in ESPN and NFL Network, they'll tell you, he's going to rush you the first 2 downs, and then he's going to make you throw it the third down. Yeah. So it's like, he's just a genius right now. And so that's what the Vikings are winning on, is great defense. Mm-hmm. But when that offense gets rolling, they could blow you out. They could knock your teeth in. So I am leaning into it a little bit more. I want to see him get through Detroit. Yeah. As a Detroit fan, as a lifelong Vikings fan as well, I just have dabbled in other things. I do want to see that game. I want to see how the Vikings are able to do against a similar team. I mean, yes, I know they went. Yeah, exactly. They went through Houston. They went through San Francisco. Early games though. Early games in the season. Still getting the rust off. San Francisco's not fully 100%. Houston. They look good against Houston. But I want to see them get through Detroit.
So one thing worth mentioning about that Vikings defense, so their rush defense is really good. Their pass defense, statistically, I think is like towards the bottom of the league. But it's worth mentioning that the reason that is because teams are playing from behind right away in games. They have to throw the ball. The Vikings, they'll score on their first drive. They'll force a turnover, score again. You're down 2 scores. You're throwing the ball. You're not running the ball. So it is worth mentioning, like looking at statistics, it's like, oh, they have a bad pass defense. It's really not the case. When you're turning the ball over and you're forcing, 54 throws, like that's not something that a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers should be doing, throwing the ball 54 times. So just wanted to put that out there. Like Minnesota's pass defense, not as bad as the numbers say. Carolina at Chicago. Chicago getting a blowout win.
Yeah, Caleb Williams, 304, 2 tutties, 20 for 29. He's not looking like a rookie as much anymore. He's getting better. Right. I'll give him that.
It is Carolina.
It is Carolina.
Once you play some, I would say I want to see Caleb Williams against some divisional opponents to really see. Detroit has a pretty good defense, and then Green Bay and Minnesota have great defenses. So I'd love to see.
They get them back-to-back, 11 and 12. Oh, man. Week 11, 12, and 13, they are going through it.
Oof.
And 14 and 15. Dude, basically 11 to week 16, Chicago's going through it.
That's rough. That's a tough pull on the schedule.
That is a tough pull. Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, San Francisco, Minnesota, Detroit, Seattle, which isn't an easy game. And then Green Bay. Man, good luck. Yeah. Caleb, you will die.
Yeah. But, like I said, Carolina. All right. Baltimore and Cincinnati, great game. I was able to watch that game. Both Lamar and Joe Burrow
look good.
There's this thing that, like, weeks 1 through 4, Joe Burrow looks like he doesn't know like how to throw a football, but then as soon as week 5 comes, he becomes the greatest quarterback to ever touch a ball. And that held true because he did everything in his power to win that game. Yes. Came down to a missed field goal from McPherson in overtime, and then a 50-yard rush from Henry to set up Tucker to win the game. But not a whole lot of defense being played. I mean, 38-35. It's kind of sad. I like Cincinnati, you understand, because it's like they're not a good football team right now. But like Baltimore's defense has always been.
Pick it up.
Yeah,
they got too many dogs.
Yeah, even though it's a divisional game, like you can't allow that many points. Miami, New England. Miami squeaking out with a dub. Nothing really to talk about there. Tyler Huntley.
Boring game.
Yeah, it's without like Tua throwing 70-yard touchdowns to Tyreek or Jalen Waddle. It's like,
and New England is not New England.
Right. Cleveland at Washington. Jaden Daniels absolutely destroying the Cleveland Browns. Man, Cleveland looks terrible.
Deshaun sucks. $240 million down the garbage.
Yeah, you need, after this season,
move on.
Yeah,
I like DTR. I liked him in college. Give him a shot. Deshaun's stinking up the bed. Let DTR, let DTR go for it.
I think you should probably let DTR, like if you have any plans of getting rid of Watson, just bench him. Let DTR go in there. And if you see something that you like, then go into the offseason thinking that you don't need a quarterback. But it's like, bench Watson, let DTR play. If DTR sucks,
then draft then you know what you're doing. Yeah.
Right. Indy at Jacksonville. This was actually a game that I was the one that predicted right. Jacksonville's first win of the season.
Okay, I didn't know they hadn't won a game, which is my fault. But if I would have known that, I maybe would have gone that way, just because going 0 for 5 is tough.
Yeah.
But still, I rock with Indy. I mean, I like him.
Right.
I like Joe. I like Joe Flacco.
Oh, man.
Flacco.
It's crazy that he's still just balling.
Dude.
Then you had Buffalo
he played in this game.
Yeah, that is crazy.
He won that game.
He did. Buffalo at Houston.
Ooh.
That was a great game. Buffalo started off very slow. They kind of started making their way back up, but Josh Allen making a few mistakes that kind of cost them the game. CJ Stroud bouncing back.
I love mid-season football. I love mid-season
A
football.
lot to talk about, yeah.
I love it.
But I mean, those two teams are definitely playoff hopefuls, playoff
Super
candidates.
Bowl.
Yeah, they're both looking at making a run. So
Houston's 4-1, safely behind the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Safely at the top of their division. So I mean, Houston, we'll see in January. It might as well just mark it up. See you in January.
Yeah,
brother.
Could be another rematch that we could see in the postseason. That would be a great game to watch.
Put it in Buffalo. Put it in Buffalo with a little buffalo sauce. Give me some ranch on the side. Cook it up, and I'll love it.
Another game that's really not worth mentioning. Really, anybody. Vegas at Denver.
Who?
Exactly.
Bo Nix, though, he's a winner. You know what's something? I've noticed this. The Oregon quarterbacks tend to be okay in the league. Mariota, okay for
Herbert.
a couple years. Herbert,
Okay.
okay for a couple years. Bo Nix, okay for a couple years. Why not, right?
Yeah.
I hate Sean Payton. Die.
Could be super mid. So
Could be super mid. I feel like Denver's a very mid place.
yeah. Sean Payton, God. You see Sean Payton and Bo Nix going at it on the sideline?
Who does Sean Payton not go at? Dude,
That's true, because he goes at all of his quarterbacks.
I
except
like
for
Bo
Drew Brees.
Nix. I like Bo Nix. I hate Denver, but I like Bo Nix.
Yeah. Arizona going into San Francisco and upsetting
Oh,
the Niners.
boy. Well, they're up 16-0 right now on my Hawks, so that
We'll put that out there quick that I took San Fran, so that'll be my first
I
prediction.
took Seattle, so I don't care.
Yeah.
Love you. Shout out, boy.
Little kind of a rough game. San Fran's offense not being able to get it done when they need to. Arizona getting the ball back, scoring, and then turning over Brock Purdy. I think he got his arm hit, ball went up in the air, and Arizona picked it up to seal the game. Then my Green Bay Packers going on the road, getting it done against the Rams. Kind of another situation where that was also a toss-up because Stafford did get the ball back. Luckily enough, turned it over on downs for Green Bay to seal the game. But yeah, without Puka, without Cup, they still kind of just did whatever they wanted. Time of possession was a huge difference. Green Bay not seeing the ball a lot. Had one bad turnover when Jordan Love avoided safety, but then threw a pick six on the 2-yard line.
It.
But then he, kind of seems like something that Jordan Love does is he has a first rough couple of drives and then just settles in and
Who
balls.
does that remind me of?
Brett Favre. The
Yeah,
comparisons are uncanny with those two. So
it's the quarterbacks of Green Bay. It's the lure of Green Bay. It's the aura of the title town. It's just I hate it all. I mean, Matt Stafford is Hall of Fame quarterback, no doubt about it. He's gonna be there. LA, they are a good team. It just
injury riddled.
doesn't work. They they can't stay healthy. I think it's something in the air in LA.
Well, losing Donald, losing the probably greatest one of the
You're
greatest.
playing with a really old Trey White. You're playing, it's just. And Green Bay, got to give it to them. They got the dub. They went in, took the dub. I don't know. I said a couple weeks ago that LaFleur may be on the hot seat. If he doesn't turn around, he's fine. Ice cold right now. He's sitting on that ice bath. I like Green Bay as far as how good they are. I don't like them just because they are Green Bay. But if I was a betting man, I would pick Green Bay in a lot of games this year.
Another pretty big upset. The Giants upsetting Seattle. That was surprising.
Yes, it was.
Daniel Jones didn't look like hot garbage.
Neighbors is probably the only one that gives Jaden Daniels a run for his money.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, I still think it's pretty, as of right now through 5 weeks, it's 1 and 2 is pretty far apart because Jaden Daniels, I think I just saw out of 5 weeks, he's been the rookie of the week for 4 of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, Malik Neighbors if he continues to have the year that he is, comes back from concussion protocol,
Be a
I mean,
stud.
yeah, he'll have a chance.
LSU grown.
The game that decided which one of us was going to wear
I stayed up as late as I stayed up for that.
Dallas and Pittsburgh.
I had my Dallas hat on, but I picked Pittsburgh. So
not really like anything to talk about except for the fact of so the game got delayed multiple times.
85 minutes.
Yes. So Dak Prescott became the first player, I believe, in NFL history to throw 2 interceptions in a game on 2 different days. So obviously for us, I think it ended like Minnesota time. It ended at like
right
11
before midnight.
Right for us, but over on the East Coast, Pittsburgh, almost 1 o'clock. So Dak threw an interception. Game gets delayed into the next day for them, and throws another interception. First player to ever do that. So boring game. But
There are records you want to have, and then there's that. So
then there's that. Yep. And then to finish off week 5, we saw New Orleans taking on Kansas City, where the Chiefs got it done at home again, remaining undefeated, one of 2 teams, including Minnesota.
we were playing softball for that game, so we were on top of it.
Yeah. Well, we got to watch because Fuzzy had his phone, or Zach, one of the 2 had their phones on, so we were able to kind of peek in.
It was a highlight of our night.
Right.
Because I froze my butt off and then we lost.
Yep.
And I played terrible. So.
Yeah, but yeah, nothing too big. A couple good upsets this week, but
I love it though. I love it because you never know what's gonna happen. Like, who would have thought? Who would have thought New York takes that game? Who would have thought Denver takes that game? Who would have thought Arizona takes that game? But this is the NFL, right? Mm-hmm. You look at the standings at the end of the season. You see the playoff teams, and then you go into the next season. For some reason, you copy paste into that, and it never happens. I love it, and this is why, because you never know what you're gonna get.
Right. So, done with recap, but a big OTC
on the couch.
Robert Saleh, the head coach, well, now former head coach of the New York Jets, gets fired
after 4 seasons.
Yes. I read, I'm not sure if this is true, but it's from what it sounds like is that Saleh walked into the building, ready to go to work, knowing nothing, and Woody Johnson calls him into the office, fires him, and then Saleh gets escorted out. Doesn't address the team, nothing else happens, doesn't get to say his goodbyes, nothing. Like, it was grab your shit, gets escorted out.
Oh, Yeller. Oh, come on.
I want to know, like, what the situation was, because obviously there's speculation about, like, the Rodgers thing. Rodgers went on McAfee, I believe, today and said, like, they had a good relationship. You really don't know. But,
Cadence.
I mean, what, like, it seems like his, like, especially his defensive players loved him.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely adored him. Sauce came out today saying, like, it was nothing but love. Like, they're going to play the rest of the season for Saleh. Yeah, dude. Like, what happened between Saleh and Woody that just blew up?
I don't know. And I'll probably never know. And we may never know. I mean,
right.
It's speculation at this point.
Purely speculation.
But the weather report in my brain says that it has to do with the locker room. It has to do with the team. It's, because I think back of Seattle, you know, when it all started to crack, when it all started to crumble was when you had one side of the team pulling for Russ, and then you had another side of the team pulling for defense.
Yeah.
And where it got rocky was, the LOB guys, Cam started getting hurt, other guys started leaving, Michael Bennett, all that. So you get this in the locker room where it starts to become Rodgers Saleh. You hear it outside of the locker room as well. Well, when that creeps in enough, you get this where you have to make a decision. I feel like it's something like that. And Saleh, in this scenario, got the worst of it because 12 is Hall of Fame quarterback. He's the reason that we're going to be good. He's all this and that. But if you look back at it,
He's not playing well.
he's not playing well
At all.
In the last 3 years, when Saleh didn't have a Hall of Fame quarterback playing for him, his defense was the reason that they were in these games. Zach Wilson's playing terrible ball, and they're still competing. You've got Mike White, who is probably OTC as well, throwing the ball, and yet you're winning. You're in these close games. You're not.
You're winning like 6 games.
Yeah, you've got Sauce Gardner Pro Bowl. You've got DJ Reed Pro Bowl. You've got Jermaine Johnson. You got both the Williams Bros Pro Bowl, all pros. So it's like, I don't think he was the problem, but I'm not surprised at it because
the Rodgers effect.
If you lose the locker room, it's gonna blow up in your face.
I read a statistic, and I think it was 28 games for Rodgers. His last 28 starts has not thrown over 300 yards. 28 straight starts that he hasn't thrown.
He
for
was
300.
at 244 this one. So,
and I mean, last season obviously him being out, but it's kind of surprising over the past 3 seasons, technically speaking, because it's such a passing league. And for him to not go over 300 it's kind of
crazy.
It's crazy for Rodgers.
Crazy.
So now,
Speaking of a Rodgers compadre, Devontae Adams.
yes,
Where do we think he's going? Is he out the door? Wait, Vegas lost again? Is he out the door? Trade deadline is what?
week
End of the month? Yeah.
I don't know. Antonio Pierce, I guess, came out today and said that something about Taser Raider. There's whatever
I'm not leaving.
type of
Jordan
beat.
Belfort.
Well, the Raiders benching Gardner Minshew for Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's like a mend that's trying to happen with Pierce and Adams after that whole thing that happened, last week, 2 weeks ago.
Hello, darkness, my old
I
friend.
still think, and maybe this is kind of a reasoning with the Saleh situation. Maybe Saleh didn't want to give up a lot to go get an aging receiver. Maybe that played into it. I still think that Devontae is just somehow going to end up with the Jets. I think that they're going to listen to Rodgers. They're going to put forth the best offer that any team, unless you have just some terrible team that offers a first for him, which I don't see happening. I still see Devontae ending up with the Jets.
I hate it because I see it too. It's just, look at what happened in Green Bay. You brought in Randall Cobb. He was okay. You kind of got a first round in Watson at 33. But it's just like, I don't know. Don't listen to Rodgers. The dude literally locked himself in a darkness room for 4 days.
Yeah.
He went to Egypt and did a bunch of drugs. There's nothing wrong with that. But at his age and where he's at in his life, in his personal life, football is probably not his biggest priority.
No, also the talks about becoming RFK's vice president.
Yeah, right? Dude.
There's a lot going on with Rodgers.
Are you?
I think my issue with Devontae, if he does go to the Jets, is kind of the situation that Green Bay ran into the last couple of years of Devontae being there. Is him and Rodgers had the best 1-2 combo in the league, and it was by a wide margin. It was like when Jordy was in his prime with Rodgers. They just clicked, and they knew exactly what to do. There were, whether it be a hand motion, whether it be a Devontae nod, they both were inside of each other's head at any given point. Now, what happens with that is when you have a younger group of receivers along with a vetted star in Devontae, if you have one drop, if you have a wrong route that you ran, Devontae is the go-to guy in that situation. And Devontae got force-fed the ball when Alan Lazar was dropping passes, when MVS was dropping passes, when these young guys are dropping passes. Rodgers can't stand it. He gets on his receivers. He doesn't, you really never saw him get on Devontae, maybe earlier in his career when he was that young guy. But when it comes to Devontae, it's just if he goes to the Jets and Rodgers just can't trust any of his receivers to not drop the ball, run the right routes, it's just going to be a 4-13 Jets team with Rodgers and Devontae hooking up for 100 catches.
I think they're screwed in the future as is. I think that their future is basically sunk. After the Rodgers experiment is over, they're a terrible team.
Yeah. At least they have picks still, so it's like, but they're gonna have to like, it's not even gonna be a retool; it's gonna be rebuild after Rodgers is gone. So I mean, is it worth sending a second over for
Devontae
top
Adams, 32-year-old
right?
Devontae
You
Adams.
maybe have like, and not even like a good Devontae Adams, but like you maybe have 3 years left with Devontae Adams playing football.
3 years, 600 yards a year. So you've got 18. Wait, what is that? Yeah, 1,800 yards left.
Or like 5-6 touchdowns a year. Like outside, after the Rodgers experiment, they're gonna be toast again. They're gonna be the bottom dweller of the AFC East.
We did a couple last week or maybe 2 weeks ago. We did a next dynasty after KC. Who are the next 0-16 Detroit Lions or Cleveland Browns? Like, I would say the next 3 years, they maybe win 8 games after the season.
I mean, as of right now, you're looking at Carolina.
Really, though?
Yes. It's so hard because, like, they didn't have draft picks. I think they do have, like, some draft picks, but they're still, like, they need draft capital. They are a team that needs youth, and like we talked about, needing Bryce Young to go through those growing pains with somebody, not bringing in like a T. Higgins who's already a proven player to like help Bryce Young out. If you want to become a contending team, a team that can win your division, like you need to go through those growing pains, not piss off somebody who is a star, just collecting a check. Like, you need a young group of receivers. You need a solid O-line with depth. You just need youth. And they're not going that way right now with just, like, how little draft capital they have.
Signed Adam Thielen.
You sign Adam Thielen. You get Deontay Johnson. You're not even going after a receiver one. So you don't have a receiver core to begin with. At least get a one. You're depending on Deontay Johnson.
They're trying with Xavier.
Xavier.
They're trying with Xavier. They're trying with Xavier. No, for me, bottom dweller teams. I'm torn. Jacksonville or New England, because
we get to see Drake May this weekend.
That's the thing, though. See, if Drake May turns out, they're gonna be good. But if he doesn't turn out, he'd be pretty bad. And Jacksonville, the Trevor Lawrence experiment, he is not that guy.
I got one thing with Jacksonville, and this goes back, I think, a couple episodes when we had talked about our trade candidates. Your trade candidate is coming closer and closer to becoming true, with Tank Bigsby absolutely exploding this week.
I picked him up.
That's insane. Mm-hmm. ETN getting less and less touches. Tank 50, Bigsby coming up out of nowhere. Obviously, he was a good player. Like, he was a good player in college.
Yep.
But exploding. So your Travis Etienne pick for a trade candidate is, I am absolutely loving that pick right now for a trade candidate.
I feel like there's a SpongeBob episode where Patrick wins something. I feel like him. Where he's just kind of like...
Where he went, like, days without a reward, and then he finally got it. Yeah.
Or, like, you know how, like, he had that nail stuck in his head when he was building a...
Oh, yeah.
I feel like him when he's walking into the door.
So...
Oh, I was going to say something really quick, though.
Yep.
Speaking of running back, speaking of exploding... What's his name? I don't know. Boise State Ashton Johnson.
Oh, man.
Boy. Oh. Whoever gets him, beat him the rock. Just beat him.
He's putting up numbers through, 6 weeks that most people don't do in a season.
Yes. Yeah, he's got, 1,100 yards, 17, 18 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Me and my sister's fiance, week one, we were watching it because they just bought new patio furniture. So we were testing it out. Got to test it out. If you're a boy, you're for the boys. You got to test it out. We're watching it. We've got the 4 screens on because he's got YouTube TV, and we're like going through these games, and we're trying to pick out the best one. And we look on, and it's him going down for 80, and I think he like fell at the line or something. He's getting an oxygen tank, and we're like, what the heck is this? He had already had 280 yards and 6 touchdowns when we clicked on it. And he's like, who is this guy? And I was like, I have no idea, but he's pretty freaking good. And then all of a sudden, you see him blowing up all over the place. And I'm like, hey, I know who that guy is.
Yeah.
Bro, what? It's
Just
the blue
absolutely
field.
insane, man.
Heisman. Give it to a
Yeah,
running back.
yes,
Give it to a running
absolutely.
back. Let the boys eat again.
He's going to be a finalist, and he's still going to get, like, screwed out by, like, Jalen Milroe for 0
Oh,
reason.
my God. Dude, no. Jalen Milroe and the Alabama Crimson Tide, dead. They're dead.
After the
We
Vandy
lost
loss?
to Vandy, and they carried their goalpost 3 miles. Dead. Speaking of which, side story, I was at the USC game against the Gophers, and we ran onto the field. Awesome. But I'm still pissed because the players are about as big as us, and it was cool.
25 years old running on the field. Ain't no glory days no more.
I don't care no more. Dude, there was some lady with a baby. She had a baby on her chest, like a little newborn baby, in one of them baby Bjorn things. I know. I was like, girl, what are you doing? How'd you jump down here? What if you
Not
fell
even
and landed
a
on the
top,
baby?
not
It was
even
all
beating,
like-
not even beating a top 10 team. You're storming the field, man.
Okay, well, the playoffs is 12, so
I suppose. So Mitchell, our good friend, who's just on our last 2 episodes, told us that we need to take a little bit more time for this particular segment. Paige loves it. So, the one segment that we get to each week is our On the Bench Player of the Week. We have a few nominees. This week, I only have one, and this is a personal bias. So, heading into Monday night in one of my fantasy leagues, me and the guy that I was playing were the 2 remaining undefeated teams.
yeah.
So I was winning by like 0.2 heading into the New Orleans Kansas City game. We both had one player playing each. He had Kansas City kicker Harrison Butker.
Oh,
And I had the number 1 receiver on the New Orleans Saints roster, Chris Olave. Chris Olave needed to outscore a kicker. Not only did he not do that, he got embarrassed by Butker. I believe in fantasy terms, like he had 2 points. I think he had like 2 or 1 catch for like
6 yards.
yeah, something like that. It was bad. So Chris Olave, you are my on the bench player of
He's
the week.
been a nominee before. I
think it was week 1.
yeah, he was a nominee before.
That's not good. When you're a nominee multiple times, and it's because you put up an absolute stinker as a wide receiver 1, and it's not all on him. You know, maybe game planning's different, but at the same time, you were the wide receiver 1. Get open. What are you doing?
I mean, there's a million questions that you got. Rashid, he is kind of taking over that one spot in Derek Carr's mind, but now Derek Carr's out.
Yeah.
Concussion. Spencer
Rattler coming
So
in,
maybe there's an opportunity for Olave to get off the bench, but you know he's warmed the seat up pretty well. His butt's starting to cushion the seat, so I like that pick. I'm gonna do you one better, Deshaun Watson,
Yeah.
the man with many massages. I think people go bankrupt because they spend too much money and they can't pay it out. I think Deshaun Watson is bankrupting the Cleveland Browns. I just asked you a few minutes ago, the next 0-16 team.
Could we see Cleveland?
Repeat.
Yeah.
Repeat offenders.
Man.
Repeat offense at 0-16 for a repeat
If-
offender, Deshaun Watson.
If they're stars, I'll say like if Myles Garrett after this year is like, oh my God, like this fucking sucks you're in Cleveland, Ohio. Outside of LeBron and Johnny Manziel, you got nothing.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, exactly. So if Myles Garrett, you know, not old, but he's aging. If he says, I want to go somewhere to win, trade me. If Denzel Ward comes out like this, you know, he's been on a party.
Grant Delpit, trade me, bro.
If they just rebuild, get rid of Deshaun Watson, cut their losses, that could be a candidate. if you keep those guys, if they just stay put and they're just like, whatever, we'll stay, I still think that defense wins them a few games.
But they just don't. That offense has nothing to offer. Nick Chubb will come back and he will be on the bench just as fast because he's going to get eaten alive. He will tear his ACL, MCL, LCL. He'll tear
Achilles.
it all again.
Yeah.
Yes. I just, Deshaun.
Trade Amari, trade Cooper.
Trade Amari. Dude, trade Amari. Free Amari. We got to start.
Yeah.
We got to get that campaign going because think about it.
Yep.
When they freed him from Oakland, he went to Dallas and he tore it up. When they freed him from Dallas, he went to Cleveland and he tore that up.
Yep.
Free the Cleveland Browns. I'm part of the dog pound. Let the dogs out.
Absolutely. Free Amari. I'm on that wavelength.
Marcus, that's for you.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Marcus.
Shout
I
out
forgot.
to Marco. Dude, he was there when they were 0-16.
Yes, he was.
He's a loyalist.
He's a loyalist.
Man, there are few loyalists more loyal than him, and he's a loyalist.
Yes. So, like we said, we have the San Francisco-Seattle game on right now, Thursday Night Football. I took San Fran. Josh took Seattle.
Easy money. They're going to come back. Gino,
right.
They wrote him off. So
You might have to start getting that pen warmed up. All right, so moving off that game, first Sunday game in London, again for the second week in a row, we have Jacksonville at Chicago.
Considering Jacksonville is basically London's team as is, however, the Vikings gave them a run for their money. That stadium was packed. I'm going to take Jacksonville.
I am as well. They play
think-
there 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, they basically live there.
Yep.
And the Hurricane, they're going to be fired up, especially after hurricane season. Milton ruined everybody's day. Jacksonville's going to make it up, and they're going to win on Sunday.
Yeah, I got Jacksonville. Next up, we got Washington heading to Baltimore.
Ooh, good game. Great game.
Yeah.
I want to pick Washington. I really, really, really do. I love Jaden Daniels. And honestly, maybe I will. Maybe I will pick them because that defense, Baltimore, has had an issue, but it hasn't been running the ball, so I'm going to go with Baltimore.
I actually am going to take Washington on the road. I've talked about Baltimore. I'm very high on Baltimore. I just feel like this is just one of those games that, with Washington being hot, that they're going to continue to
go with
stay
the hot
hot.
hand.
I like it. I do like it.
Dang.
Next, we have Tampa Bay heading to New Orleans.
Tampa Bay.
I'm going to take Tampa as well. Was there any... I know with the big hurricane, it didn't hit like close to New Orleans, did it?
It didn't rip them up like it did Rays Stadium, but man,
Yeah.
it smacked Tampa Bay. So
Yeah. Well, it's in New Orleans, so...
I know. So
Oh, okay. Next up, we have the Arizona Cardinals heading to Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin, to take on the Packers. He hates it. He hates it, and I know that it's hard for when you are a fan of two divisional rivals of the Packers.
we sent you home in 2015 or 2014. So you go.
We already know my pick. Come on now. We're rocking with Green Bay.
I'm gonna take Arizona.
Oh,
I am. You want to know why? Because Arizona right now is cooking with something that they have not cooked with in a long time, and it is Kyler Murray. He is still the guy. Definitely put it on his back, carried him through San Francisco game. Marvin Harrison Jr. still a dog. They do have some players on defense.
Mm-hmm.
They're not as bad as people might think they are. I do see them getting hot at the right time. Green Bay, Jordan Love. If they get too slow or if they don't get it off the jump, it is what it is. But I'm gonna take Arizona.
when does Black Ops 6 drop?
November 14. I don't know. It's in November.
All right, so whenever Black Ops 6 drops, I think we know, most people know this if you know Kyler Murray. Make sure to, for your predictions, to take the team that's playing against Arizona, because as soon as Call of Duty drops, Kyler Murray is going to
Him
be
and Bronny
back.
James.
Yeah.
That's the week that Reddick's going to bench him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's gonna say, "Oh, it's because he's hurt." No.
No. Call of Duty. So make sure once COD drops, after that, to take Kyler Murray over
Take him
on
off
an interception. Take him out of your fantasy
Take him off your
lineup.
fantasy,
If you're
sell
into
him.
sports betting,
Bet every team
single
against him.
every single game, take the interception because he's going to fall off.
Study.
Again.
I don't study.
All right.
I
Then we
won't
have
film.
Indianapolis going to Tennessee. I don't know. Because Richardson wasn't put on IR, was he?
No.
So, I mean, there's a chance. I haven't heard anything, so I'm guessing it's going to be Flacco again. I'm going to go Indy on the road against Tennessee.
Yes, they were. So they're coming off a bye. Who did you say you're taking?
I'm going to take Indy.
Taking Indy.
Tennessee just does not look good.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Indy too. They don't. I think Joe Flacco still do.
Yeah, if it's
things.
Flacco, that game's going to be boring.
I think Joe Flacco does Joe Flacco things.
All right, and then we have Houston going to New England.
Brother.
Houston.
Houston, we have a problem.
Next one, we have Cleveland heading to Philadelphia. Philly, all day.
Do you know what the worst part is? This would be the game that I see
Philly
Cleveland
loses.
doing well.
Philly loses.
Because Philly is they're just blowing up from the inside just as bad as Cleveland is, and this is the game that they would do well. Yeah, I'm gonna take Philly. I'm still high on Philly. I still think they're really, really good, so I'm gonna take Philly.
All right, then we have the Los Angeles Chargers heading to Denver to take on the Broncos.
You know, I almost bought tickets to go to Denver this week because Midland, the band, is playing Red Rock, and this game is in Denver. So I almost went there this weekend. For that reason, I am going to pick Denver.
Ooh.
Yes.
I'm going to go with the Chargers. I'm not on the Denver bandwagon.
I am. Bo Nix, you have bought my support for this week. If you let me down.
OTB.
Yeah.
Then we have Pittsburgh going to Las Vegas.
Great game. Great matchup. Love this matchup. A lot of reasons why. Good defenses. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. Pittsburgh.
I'm going to go Pittsburgh as well. I believe Devontae Adams is going to be out again. So amidst his trade rumors, nothing's moved yet. So I don't know if he's going to be back next week if nothing happens, or if he's going to be on a different team. But I am still going to take Pittsburgh.
If he gets benched halfway through the game, we already know.
We already know he's gone.
We already know he's gone.
All right, then we have Atlanta going to Carolina for a divisional matchup. Atlanta.
Carolina.
Oh, we got a couple opposites. We got some good
I
ones.
don't know why.
Let's hear it.
Kirk Cousins can't be consistently that good.
Goes from like 509, and then this upcoming week, he's going to throw for like 122.
He's going to get sacked like 6 times.
Oh, man. All right, and then we have your Detroit Lions taking on Dallas. What a game.
This hurts. I had a tough game last week, too. What was it? Or was it 2 weeks ago? Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. Seattle, Detroit. This is just like it because I love Dallas. I don't know why. I think it's just the clout that comes with them. Like it's just one of those like
America's team.
yes, hottest cheerleaders. Number 4. What a great number for a quarterback. Zeke was a stud when he was crop topping it. But Bailey, you already know. Cats are gonna run this town.
Yeah, I got Detroit too.
By 40.
Yeah, Dallas does not look good. Detroit looks. I mean, they're like their red zone scoring still questionable, but at the same time, it's Detroit. They've proven that they are a winning team. It's a winning culture. Dallas proving time and time again that they just can't win big games in like great situations.
You know what this is? This
Talking about rings.
This is a 5.
5 rings.
You know who wears number 5? David Montgomery, baby.
Oh yeah, David Montgomery. Yeah, gonna have a big game.
He's gonna run for like 230 yards.
All right, then we have Cincinnati at the Giants.
Ooh.
Is that Sunday night game? I'm guessing. Yeah, I think so.
No, is it?
I think it is.
Yes, it is. Sunday night. Joe Burrow, big lights.
I love him. Even though New York had a very good game against Seattle, kind of like a Kirk Cousins situation, like they're not going to have another good game in a row. Going Cincinnati.
I'm going Cincinnati too.
All right, and then to cap off the week, we have the Buffalo Bills taking on the New York Football Jets. Rivalry, two New York teams, same division.
Somebody go get their Walker because Aaron Rodgers is going to
put that grandpa in a home.
Put that grandpa in his home. He is going to get murdered. He is going to get sacked. He's going to get picked off.
We're going to see that solid decision was not the right one.
Going to win the game.
Oh, I do see it because after a coach firing, people are hyped up. But it's Buffalo. Buffalo is just a top tier team.
Sean McDermott
Buffalo.
Sean McDermott threw it 3 times out of his red zone at the end of the game. If anybody should learn from your mistakes, fired, it should have been that guy.
Put that grandpa in a home.
Put that grandpa in a home.
Still talking about his MVP years, winning a Super Bowl. Like, all right, buddy, I was 9, 10. I don't even remember how old.
Who's his backup?
Tyrod.
Oh yeah, Tyrod against his old team, dude. When Grandpa breaks his hip, Tyrod goes in there, leads him to a comeback. Easy money.
Buffalo.
Take the over.
So on bye this week, we have the Minnesota Vikings, Kansas City Chiefs, the 2 undefeated teams, and then
Best teams in the league.
And we have the Los Angeles Rams and the Miami Dolphins.
You want to know what's crazy? 1, 2, 3, 4. All 5 of my favorite teams are actually good.
My one team that I cheer for is good. So, I mean,
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, my top 15 teams are all above 500. What are we talking about here? Jeez. All right, so
Questions for the group.
What do you got?
I apologize. I was hungry. Reese's Big Cups. Get them. Best investment I've made this month. All right. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
2 questions.
Okay.
Josh Allen. Is he better than Lamar Jackson? Because we circled this, 2 weeks ago when they played each other.
Yep.
Since that time, he has not looked the same.
Right.
Are you still leaning? I guess you were always leaning. Am I still leaning Buffalo? Yes. I think Buffalo still gets it from an AFC standpoint.
Yep.
Kansas City runs it. But then it is Buffalo and Baltimore, right?
Yep.
After that, it's Houston. And I know the records say contrary, but winning culture is winning culture.
Yeah.
So, ready? Here's the follow-up question on that. If Kansas City doesn't take the AFC, who does?
So starting your first question, kind of also a 2-parter. So I lean just the quarterbacks. I'm still going to lean Lamar. 2-time MVP coming off an MVP season. Hasn't really shown any regression with anything. Becoming more accurate as his career goes on. Still that dual threat guy. But I will say Buffalo is that too. I would say Buffalo is the 2 roster wise, AFC wise. And outside of Kansas City, I would take Buffalo this year, even though Lamar and the Ravens got to the AFC Championship game last year. I just think that Buffalo is going to still be a top. They're probably going to be the 2. You're going to have to go through Buffalo. I mean, you're going to have what? If Kansas City gets the 1 and they're on the bye, then you're having 3 games in Buffalo. Yeah. If Kansas City loses before the chip.
That's just tough.
It's
just tough.
Bills Mafia. It's cold Buffalo. That's what Buffalo's known for, winter season. Could you imagine having like a Miami, a Houston, having to go like to like a 60 to 80-degree difference playing outside?
Well, look, remember last year Miami went to Kansas City and it was negative like 5? Mm-hmm. Bruh, same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's so tough.
Follow-up question because I thought of it. Mm-hmm. Outside of Green Bay.
Yep.
Or I guess I'll do conference-wise. Okay, I want 2 different answers because there's so many teams. What team from the AFC do you most want to see win a Super Bowl, and what team from the NFC outside of Green Bay would you most want to see win a Super Bowl?
So my favorite AFC team is Cincinnati. I was happy when they got to the chip a few years ago. I lost it to the Rams. I like Burrow. I like Chase. I like Higgins. Not like really anybody on that team to like that you like to root against. There's no like really villain except for is Eli Apple still there or is he he's gone? Good. Okay. I fucking hate Eli Apple.
Cody Ford, also a bad guy because he was engaged to a girl and he cheated on her this summer.
Damn, buddy.
But he's a backup, so it doesn't really
I would say he's on the bench anyways, so we can't even put him there. He put himself there.
So Cincinnati, huh?
Yeah, I like Cincinnati. I kind of always like, if you want to say I have a second favorite team, it would be Cincinnati. Even like back in like the Dalton, AJ Green days, I would always like, if they were on, I'd watch them. Just, I don't know, it was weird. Like even when they were
Those
bad-
Cincinnati Bengals?
Oh yeah,
Those were the Cincinnati Bengals?
that's
you like?
when I was younger. When I was like a little bit younger, I think it's just like obviously.
Are
when
we
went to high
talking
school,
like...
I'm saying like the 4-12 seasons. Yes.
Okay, because I'm thinking like the Vontez seasons.
No. I hate Montez Burfict.
Dog.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I was
No,
like,
before
that's
that,
the Bengals
like a
you
young,
like?
like when like AJ Green and like Julio were young, like those.
Those,
days.
yeah, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
when we were in like what middle
grade,
school,
yeah.
early high school. No, I think it's just like I don't know the orange and black,
The
Tigers. Yeah, just another team that like outside of watching the Packers that I could like. Even like the Carson Palmer days. Like I still remember like Ocho.
Underrated quarterback.
Yeah.
Underrated. Dude, have you seen his football life? Because they made one about him. He's got a twin brother, by the way. No, underrated, man. He got ripped up so many times playing for that team, and yet he went out there. And then he did it in Arizona. Underrated player. I'm really glad you brought him up. I actually really, really like him as a player. And
Even him
person.
going to Arizona.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then he took him. Oh, yeah, because he took him to the the NFC
championship.
against Carolina. And
Yeah.
he knocked you out.
He did. Yeah, even the Carson Palmer like Ocho days. I think T.O. went there for like a year with Ocho.
Yeah.
I want to say.
Yep. Mm-hmm. You got Jerome Simpson.
Cedric Benson, R.I.P.
House Mendez.
Hushman Zada. Who's your mama?
Hujman Dada. You had what's his name? Died. He died. Oh, what's
Cedric Benson.
no, not said.
Oh, Henry.
Henry. Yep.
Yep. So yeah, even like those days, like I liked the Bengals, even though they were terrible. But I think it's like when they're bad, it's like okay, like you can like a team that's bad.
Yeah, it's a good.
NFC,
Jackson Bengals.
Yeah. Oh gosh. NFC wise, obviously none of the division guys.
I hate you.
Not Dallas, not Seattle.
I hate you.
Kind of like Green Bay rivals. Not Arizona, not San Fran, because they've knocked us out of the playoffs a few times each.
What about the Rams?
They got one, so I'm fine with. And like, I don't need Stafford
I
winning.
guess, yeah,
I don't need Stafford winning 2, and then people will be like, "Oh, Stafford has 2, Rodgers has 1." Like, shut up. Let's see. I'm trying to think of like. So yeah.
Were you happy when Tampa won it?
No.
Are you just like okay? Wait. Okay,
I didn't even watch it.
I'll list off. Are you okay? I'll list off players. I'll list off some players, and then if you want them to win one, or if you don't want them to win one. Okay, ready? Cam Jordan.
Yes.
Okay. Baker Mayfield.
Yes.
Okay, I'm trying to think who else is in the who else are on teams that I like. Because you already said Jalen Hurts.
No.
No. Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Geno Smith.
No.
Had to test to see if you'd be honest with the other guys. Jared Goff.
No.
Ah.
I'll say my NFC pick. I'll go Washington. One, because you mentioned Jaden Daniels. I like Jaden as a quarterback. He was my quarterback 2 or quarterback 3. I might have had May above him, but I love Jaden Daniels. Like you said, LSU, so being able to watch a lot of LSU games, but also being in the same division as Dallas, and I hate Dallas. Being in the same division as Philadelphia, I don't hate Philly.
Fan of Philly.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan. And then I also have kind of a bias against New York, another team that bounced us out of the playoffs a couple times that I've seen. So Washington, I have no like gripe against. So, and especially in a division where like it's two teams that are like easy to hate, and then like another team that's more of a personal hate. So yeah, I'll take Washington as my non-Packer NFC team to win the Super Bowl.
See, I despised Washington until they got Jaden Daniels. I
hated the ownership.
Dude, yes, I did. I did hate Schneider. He's a trash person.
Yeah, I hate ownership.
Anybody who touches women without their consent is a trash person, and you just know
die.
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
But like I loved RG3.
I hated RG3. I love him now. As a personality, he's great.
Right.
But when he's running the ball like that, I hated it.
Yeah. But yeah, ownership I hated. After he left Carolina, I was kind of on like the Riverboat Ron train. Like for some reason, he was just like,
I do like Ron Rivera.
Right.
And I like Dan Quinn.
But yeah, there's really not any like other NFC, like the South I don't care about.
I was going to say the teams
the
in
West
the
I hate.
South I could maybe see it, but the West, yeah.
The West I hate.
And the North you just are
Right.
against it.
Right. If it was anybody, okay, I'll give you this. I'll throw you a bone. An NFC North team not named the Packers to win a Super Bowl, I would want Detroit. Obviously, I hate the Bears. Absolutely hate them.
Everybody hates the Bears.
Everybody hates the Bears.
I think the Bears
it's
hate
like
the
the rivalry. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. But like the rivalry aspect, I hate the Bears. Minnesota, I do hate because it's like I grew up in Minnesota as a Packer fan. Like, and it was so weird because like for me, it almost felt like there was like actual like personal hate towards me being a Packer fan, like from other people. No, like when you say it, it's like obviously like he's joking. He's like, I hate you. But like growing up when like the Packers were good, Minnesota sucked.
Oh, yeah.
Growing up as like a middle school, even like elementary school kid, and I wasn't like every single day like, haha, you guys fucking suck.
It's
like
real.
whatever.
No,
but it's like
it's
the hate from Minnesota to Green Bay.
It's real.
It's different from like Green Bay to Minnesota. Green Bay doesn't like Green Bay fans.
Well, it's because you have Chicago.
Yes.
We don't have anybody else.
No.
We just have you.
Right. And Minnesota still is the little brother.
I think that makes it even worse for us because it's like even like.
Well, you guys don't have anybody.
I think it's like I have to put it in relationship terms because that's how my brain did it.
Yep.
It'd be like Minnesota and Green Bay were in a relationship, but Green Bay was never over Chicago. And so now Minnesota's just out there watching from the side.
Yep.
It's like, I hate you so much. I hate you even more. I hate you because you love them more than you loved me or because you hate me more than whatever. Mm-hmm. I just think that's what like digs the dagger even more because even no matter how much we try, until we win a Super Bowl or until we bounce you in the conference, you will never hate us as much as you hate Chicago.
Yeah, no.
And that sucks.
Well, the thing is, it's like Chicago has had a couple, like since we've been alive, has had a couple like good seasons. Minnesota has had quite a few. Detroit, another team that's like, obviously the last couple of years, but where like you would think that Minnesota and Green Bay would have a bigger rivalry. When it comes to like rivalry week with Minnesota Green Bay, it's always like K fans talking about like the border battle, that green team.
Border battle 128, border battle 129.
Right. Like we don't do that.
Yeah, you guys are just like, oh, it's Minnesota. I mean, yeah, we don't like them, but
Right. It's like we're
not
gonna
the end of the world.
Yeah, like more than likely we're gonna split with them this year. Yeah. Okay. It's like no, the two games that like we're like, all right, we get to beat the absolute living
piss out of Chicago.
Chicago. And it's like it doesn't matter if Chicago is like 2-14 and we play them. It's always just like I hope the Packers beat Chicago.
And I think Chicago gets. I think you get the best out of Chicago too.
Oh yeah, especially now.
Yeah,
8 years.
Yeah,
6 years. 6 years, right? 6 years. Sorry, not 8. 6 years. 2018. 2018 was the last time Chicago beat Green Bay.
Trubisky, 12-4.
Yeah,
that was a fun season.
Yeah.
Then they got double doinked.
Philly.
That was a great year, dude. 2018 football was a great season.
Yeah.
Oh. No, I just
not really because we sucked, but no. Like yeah, when people like even like Mitchell like giving me shit like being a Green Bay fan, I'm like, well, it's like I would even say that like Dallas holds a little bit more, or even like San Francisco holds a little bit more over like Green Bay's head, but it's because we lose to them. Dallas a little bit different. It's just like one of those things where like everybody hates Dallas.
I get that though, because Philly and New Orleans probably hold a little bit more over Green Bay.
Right.
Like I mean, if there was a 1A, 1B, 1C, it probably Philly.
That's like
probably
recency.
New Orleans.
That's probably like
Philly.
recency bias.
Yeah.
That's not even like this has been like the same thing like even since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like this isn't just like like Philly 2018, New Orleans 2009. Yeah. Like this is just like.
Well, because you've got the Landry Lombardi years,
right?
And you've got the Bradshaw and.
But for us, it's like growing up, it was always like okay. Chicago was a huge focus because like Chicago was decent back then. But even so, it was just the NFL's greatest rivalry. So it's like we just automatically will always.
That's why too, yeah. Longest running.
So it's like even when they're bad or even when we're bad, it's just like I hope we beat the fuck out of Chicago. Yeah. Where like Minnesota, it's like growing up in Minnesota as a kid, like kids can be mean and kids were mean. Like it was a personal attack when it came to like football.
If you bullied Bailey in school because he's a Packer fan, I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna beat you up. And I'm tougher than you, so.
It's all of them. Probably anybody who's watching this probably did, outside of like Kyle. But it was like a personal attack. Like they like wanted
for my dog.
They wanted me to like actually go home and cry. Where it's like you are the Vikings. I don't give a fuck. Like you guys.
It's like 0-4, 0-4, 0-4.
Yep.
That's what I would have been like.
Well,
I would have been a great Packers fan. I would have. You know, like Harry Potter, where he would have been a great Slytherin. That's me.
Right.
I would have been a great Packers fan.
Just talking shit.
Yep.
See, I wasn't even like a shit talker.
I just need a team that has won one so that I can just hold it over anybody.
See, I was always quiet. Like when like rivalry week came, and it was like Minnesota Green Bay. Like the whole week leading up to the game, just like I'm just getting fucking bombarded, and I stay quiet. I walk in on Monday, and it's just like, hey,
it's like the Iron Man moment. Like I am Iron Man, and then you just come at him.
Right. I didn't have to. Like, I didn't care. It's the Vikings. It's like, unless it's the Bears, shut up.
Imagine, like, there's one Chicago fan in the whole, like, school, and they just, like, got that win over you.
Right. That I would have went home. That's when I would have went home.
If I was a Chicago fan, would we be friends? Wow.
I still like
he hesitated.
I still like your personality.
You just like me for my face. That's so rude. That's so rude.
You have a good personality. I would have liked you. Unless you were just like a total douchebag about, because like Bears fans are kind of douchebags.
They're Chicago fans.
But yeah, no, like we still at some point would have been friends. Yeah. So again, like Minnesota, even though they beat us, it's like I don't care about you guys. Don't care about you guys. You guys are ugly.
You're wrong.
Minneapolis is a shithole. It burned down.
It was a vendetta. It was a witch hunt. They did it for me. It's planted.
The election was rigged. It's going to be rigged again.
I'm telling you. Get your ballots in. Mail in. It's fraudulent. Man. Oof. We gotta get Big Red.
I can't wait for Sunday.
Oh, we got to get Big Red.
All right. You got anything else before we head out?
I do not think so. I mean, I don't know. We covered a lot.
Another great week of football.
I had to wear this horrible jersey. I think it's giving me a rash.
Yeah, you look like you might kneel for the national anthem.
That's cold.
That's cold.
Oh, say, can you? It just drops to an E.
Yep, absolutely.
Just close my eyes.
So yes, so this will be a regular thing. I think we agreed outside of Detroit and Green Bay playing Thursday nights when we podcast, those would be the only 2 weeks that like we won't make each other wear anything. Might do it just like that Sunday, or maybe like a different episode.
Make a pick. We'll make a pick, or we'll give you an update on Sunday, and then come Thursday we'll give you the full scoop on where we're at. So,
all right. Well, thank you again for watching.
It's been real, my boy.